Hello and welcome to Connect. I'm your host, Randy Shabilo. The search is on for Saskatoon's funniest person with a day job, and Ari Avivi is here to talk about that, as well as the Gordon Tatusis Naganowan Theatre's production of a Res Christmas story will have Curtis Peditus. As always, we'd like to connect with you. Follow us on Facebook to watch new and past interviews, or email us at connectyxe@gmail.com. Saskatoon's comedy scene continues to flourish, and we have a producer of the Comedy Pit with us, Ari Avivi. He's taken some time out of his schedule to come and shed some light onto a couple of events that are happening here from the fall into the winter and culminating next spring of 22. Ari, thanks for taking some time out of that schedule of yours, and thanks for joining us today.
Totally my pleasure, Randy.
I want to talk a little bit about yourself and what we're doing here with the upcoming series of shows that you're embarking on and what that means for the opportunities for local comedians.
Sure. So we started a search actually pre-COVID, and then it sort of went in park, and then we restarted again for a search for Saskatoon's funniest person with a day job. Now, that's any kind of person who's been told that they're an office comedian, that they're really funny, or around the living room they're really funny, and their friends have told them, you should really get up and try stand-up. There wasn't really a venue, an organized venue. There's a lot of open mic comedy rooms in the city, but not all of them were I'm going to say clean comedy. A lot of them were a little rough around the edges, some really colorful material, and not everybody's comfortable doing that. So we created a room called the Comedy Pit, which is a showcase for Saskatoon's comedians to do their best clean routines. And what I mean by that is a clean routine is the kind of thing where you could get up, tell your comedy, and the audience could hear it. They could try to tell the joke at work the next day. They won't be able to because they haven't practiced it and don't have the rhythm of a comedian, but at least HR won't show up and haul them into the office after they told the joke. So that's kind of the nature of the Comedy Pit. And what comedians can do is come, and if they're interested, submit their routines. And in March of next year, we're bringing in a guy by the name of Big Daddy Taz to do a big gala fundraiser. And two of the comedians, one who's brand spanking new and one who's got some experience, will open for him.
If we had, when you say comedians, is there an opportunity if one doesn't think they're a comedian, if someone says you're just plain funny, you should try this? What is typically involved in trying to secure some of the material, or how would someone know that they are in fact good material to be on the stage for that?
You know, that is an age-old question about what is funny. I think people know that they are entertainers and they're able to entertain other people. They've seen that around their social circles and things like that. And often other people look to them to be the source of laughter. So transferring from that to a formal stage in front of a formal audience really just involves practice. Just involves getting up, working on your routine, doing a little editing to touch it up, to do something to be really economic in your words. And then it just comes down to sending us an email. And all of our information is on our website about how to become a comic, how to book a spot and give it a shot. So far, we started in September and we've had 4 people who've never done comedy before, ever, like absolutely never done it, write up routines and come out and try it. 2 of those people are coming back for a second time. They had so much fun doing it. One said, I checked it off my bucket list and I'm done. And that's really the nature of it. And you get to perform on stage with a lot of Saskatoon's up and coming comedians. We have such a strong scene here in town.
Would you say that someone who has continually referred to you as the class clown, or like you say, the office comic, and you're talking about clean comedy in that sense, so we're kind of gearing this towards more of a family type event, where not necessarily young children, but certainly a family type of event where it's not so dark and raunchy as some comedians tend to gravitate to, and that may be their forte.
So our room is a PG-13. We are in the back room of Hudson's Brew Pub. Hudson's Canada's Pub. Pardon me, I should pronounce it correctly. We're in the back room there, so it is a 19-plus audience, but we still ask our comedians to do on that PG range. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't some touchy subjects, and it doesn't mean that there aren't some wonderful innuendos, and it's not all, flowery and light. There are some really interesting comments. but they've really done a great job to make the language, I'm going to call it safe. Where it's not, you're not hearing cusses, you're not hearing the F words, you're hearing a lot of sort of things where comedians will leave the joke for the audience to finish. And that to me is some of the most brilliant comedy that you can ever do.
I've had some language taught to me by people younger than 13 as well, so I can imagine the level of expertise that is coming forward. With the Comedy Pit doing this, are there dates or certain nights that you want to see some things happen before Big Daddy Taz comes?
Absolutely. So the Comedy Pit runs every other Tuesday night in Hudson's Canada's pub in the back room there. All the tickets are available online from our website. With the exception of a day that we got snowed out, we've had sold out houses every night. So what I tell people, if you want to come check it out, go on, buy your tickets early. They all have to be pre-bought online. There's no sales at the door. They're only $10, and it's a great night out for $10. You get to come down. You get to see between 5 and 8, depending on the night, of Saskatoon's funniest amateur comedians working on their clean routines, developing stuff, and just having a grand old time.
When you look at how some of the comedians, on television today and how their careers have taken off, it typically is the stepping stone from a venue such as yours and doing this type of work.
Well, every comedian starts somewhere, and we have some comedians here in town who have been, for example, a Miles Morrison, who is one of the finalists in SiriusXM's Top Comic in Canada search. Can't remember which year it was, but he was a finalist in that. We have actually Big Daddy Taz started here in Saskatoon, and he's a North American quality top tier comic. Oh God, there's so many people who started sort of here. Joel Jeffrey, I can think of off the top of my head. Dakota Ray Hebert. All of these comedians are all started here, and they've done everything from the small bars to the small town tours to I know, and I'm not going to name who's who, but one of them's open for a Rick Mercer special that's coming up as well. So they've all started with that and then gone out and just build and build and build.
So every 2 weeks, and is there a just based on applause, or how would you determine a voting system for who can win every 2 weeks versus at the end of the culmination of this?
So the competition itself runs parallel with the Comedy Pit. The Comedy Pit, I call it the showcase, where comedians get to work their routines out. If a comedian wants to be considered for it, they just videotape their routine, and we actually send it off out of province. Big Daddy Taz and a couple of other people have agreed to be our judges, so that there's no internal, because we're a pretty tight-knit group here of comedians, and you don't want people to accuse somebody of being a favorite of somebody else and things like that. So we really have an independent jury who looks at it and says, you know what, this is the guy that I want, or this is the girl that I want. And it's a pretty great, actually, incentive. The two comics will split up this prize. One of them will get to go to Toronto and perform in the flagship Yuck Yucks Club downtown. One will go to Winnipeg and perform in Rumors Club, which is an amazingly high-end club as well for comics. They both will have the chance to perform here at Yuck Yucks in Saskatoon, and they'll both have a chance to open for Big Daddy Taz in March of 2022.
So the Big Daddy Taz concert and show, I guess, if you will, that will be March 8th, we understand. And what's the format for that, and what can people expect if they're buying tickets or planning to buy tickets? If we said for Christmas presents as an example, why would I do that, and what would I expect if I bought those tickets to see?
Well, first, you're going to expect an incredibly good night of comedy. Again, we're going to maintain with our clean comic theme, so you could bring your whole family with it. We're at the wonderful, magnificent Roxy Theater right in Riversdale, so it's a beautiful venue. If you haven't been in there, it's spectacular. It's the closest thing that I can think of to just a beautiful classic stage, and it's going to be a night of just good old-fashioned comedy. You'll be able to sit there, grab a drink from the bar, grab some popcorn and a snack, and sit back, and hopefully not spit the popcorn out on the person in front of you, because you'll be laughing so hard. But that's really that's what you're going to get. It's just a good night of, you come in, you laugh, and you go home, and you don't feel like you need a shower after.
Do you have any partnerships that have come about as a result of this with other groups in terms of fundraising, or what does that look like?
So we have a wonderful system of what are called comic angels. And these are businesses in town who stepped up anonymously to help us buy tickets for other groups to fundraise with. So, for example, we have Crocus Co-op has been one of our recipients of some tickets that they used to as a volunteer thank you or as a fundraiser for themselves. We've really made a conscious effort to help small Saskatoon-based charities to help them help others. So we're kind of a pass-through. People come to us, they get to watch the show, and then we get to donate that revenue back to help other people. And we couldn't do that. I really have to sort of make a big deal of this. We couldn't have done that without some really big sponsors at Kinsman of Saskatoon, Global, Global, Global. I should have had the whole list here. A number of sponsors. It's all on our website. It's all on our printed. Sharson, Gibbon, Whalen, Athabasca Basin, Athabasca Development Securities. Oh gosh, Express Professionals. That's just so bad that I got to pull up the list. You're being real sick. Ask me another question, Randy, quickly while I pull up the list.
How long have you been involved and associated with comedy in general?
I have done comedy for about 30 years.
30.
Yeah, it's I started back in university doing improv comedy. Actually, I did my very first stand-up at Yuck Yucks at some point back then, and then delved off into doing improv comedy. Ran an improv comedy show for a number of years, and then just had a creative burnout. Took some time off, and then came back to do stand-up. And I've worked for a couple of DJ companies in town doing game show events and things like that. Okay, here's my sponsor list because I got to make sure I get them all in. Downtown YXE, Hudson's Canada's Pub, Kinsman Club, Yuck Yucks, Rumors, Express Employment, All Square Developments, Global, 98 Cool, Sharpton, Gibbon, Whalen, Fisher, Saskatchewan Blue Cross, the Holiday Inn, and Athabasca Security. There we go. I got them all in.
So it is a broad-based initiative and good community partnerships that you form.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where everybody, when they saw the project, they said, what a great time for this. I mean, we've all suffered through COVID. And laughter is, in my opinion, the greatest healer. It is the thing that it absolutely, you come to the show and you laugh and you forget about everything else for a while and you walk out feeling a lot lighter emotionally than you did before. And if we can give you an hour and a half away from your problems, what's that worth? Like that's invaluable. And that's why everybody's been so supportive of this project.
You're almost like a doctor with a good prescription for some of this COVID stuff. I'm really glad to see you doing all of this. Ari, I want to thank you for your initiative in bringing this all together and encourage everyone to support the local comedic scene over at Hudson's on 4th Avenue. Hopefully get some tickets for the March 8th event and the finale. Thanks for taking some time out today, and we'll be in touch real soon.
Randy, totally my pleasure.
Stay with us, folks. We're coming right back.